Hello, hello, hello. Oh, goodness, I am not even centered. Hello, everyone. I am Kit Cloninger, meteorologist. And yeah, there are storms ongoing right now. If you already follow my YouTube, you would have already seen it. Seeing that I was giving a quick little forecast earlier, but now we are doing actual severe weather coverage. So I am going to put this on my Twitter. Should already be out there actually. And then also I'm going to bring it up into Facebook. So let me just put this over here. I'm going to put this into my Discord real quick, and then we'll get started into the coverage of the storms that are going on right now. As people are just filing in, we'll get some of that information out to you in just a moment. But we've seen already some severe thunderstorms and multiple tornado warnings as well. Just put this out on a couple of channels and I will be ready to go. And we'll go over here as well. There's that. And then one more spot. There we go. Alright, so like I said, we've got severe weather ongoing in Nebraska, so let's go ahead and pull up that right now, as we do have those storms that are really going quite quickly at the moment. So if I can find, where am I going? There we are. All right. We're taking a look at radar right now. Let's actually switch it over to that right now. All right, so we have 3 current. Heyo, Kit. Rustic Dragon, welcome in, sir. Good to see you. We presently have 3 tornado warnings, multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in Nebraska and Kansas. 4 tornado warnings. I'm going to show the warning window so I can keep an eye on that. But we are going to have the potential for extended severe coverage through the next several hours, so we're going to be taking a look at that. Let me switch over to our other program here. This one gives us more detailed view and gives us the velocity option. So right here, let's pull back radar. So recently we saw this tornado warning. This is in Fillmore County and Thayer County in Nebraska. There was a report of 91 mile per hour winds. This is a unofficial personal weather station. But we see with these orange colors here on my color table, you see on the side, that's getting upwards of 70, 80, 90 miles per hour in that range. So definitely confirms what we're seeing on radar, but it is weakening. So we've seen just a wide area of high winds initially, and then at some point there was some strong rotation within this. Audio levels dropping off a bit and music is loud. Thank you for that, Rustic. I'll pull that down there. And I'll pull up my mic audio. Hopefully that will balance it out a little bit better. Might be able to bump it up just a smidge there. Hopefully that's a little bit more balanced. I appreciate it. Just the issues of sharing a computer. Sometimes things get flipped around every now and then, but also just got to reset every single time for stream. Yeah, looking on the last several hours here, we've seen several thunderstorms growing in this region here east of the Tri-Cities area, and all sort of merging into a large conglomeration of severe storms, with multiple tornado warnings as well. So I want to take a look up here at York. This is in York, Nebraska, where we've got another tornado warning. Notice right here, just to the southwest of the town of York, we've got some rotation there. It looked like it might have passed just to the south of town, at least the center of that rotation. Of course, the tornado, if it were to drop down, it could spawn really anywhere within this vicinity of that rotation. And then going up the line just a little bit more, we just had that last tornado warning actually canceled, but we had a pair of tornadoes here earlier, which had some notable rotation right on the front of the line, passing through Central City, heading up towards the Silver Creek area. But a lot of this area is open farmland that it doesn't really have a lot of like population centers, but still people do live out here. But fortunately, both of those tornado warnings have dropped off. All right. Let me just... I've got a message on Facebook right now. Oh, okay. Yeah, so currently Beatrice also under a severe thunderstorm warning. This is for $half size hail, so that's 1.25 inches in diameter. I don't know how many centimeters that would be for you, Rustic. I know you're watching from the Netherlands right now. But there was a confirmed report of a tornado in northeast Kansas heading into southwest Gage County here in southeastern Nebraska. Fortunately, that tornado warning has been dropped, and there's no tag of tornado possible on this, so it does look like it has cycled out at this point. Let's actually switch over to the Omaha radar to get a better view of this storm presently. And we'll get polling back. There we go. We see we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued for Butler, Seward, and Saline counties, all right here. Details on this: penny-sized hail, 0.88 inches in diameter, or excuse me, that's nickel-sized, and then 60 mile per hour winds. So a little less significant of a threat as what we saw earlier with these storms over here. But notice what we've got we've had so many different wind reports here. So grain bin blown between a house and a workshop, damage to the shop and hydrant fence. Wow. 65 mile per hour winds, 70 mile per hour winds, all the way up to this one near Davenport, 91 mile per hour winds recorded on a personal weather station. So significant winds with this line. But fortunately, it looks like it's dying down just a little bit in intensity, while we still see heavy rain, potential for some hail still within the storm as well. And of course, potential for some rotation still with this line here around the York area. Excuse me. Let's take a look down here into the Topeka, Kansas area where we've got yet another tornado warning. We've had several already today. Unfortunately, I couldn't cover some of the earlier ones, but that was a confirmed tornado at one point there around the Dickinson area. That's a 4-inch hail report from Enterprise in Dickinson, Kansas, Dickinson County, Kansas. Multiple other golf ball size hail reports, and then up to 4 inches in diameter. Gracious life. It's quite large hail. Many other places with high winds here around this area. But radar presentation isn't as clear. The thing is, we've got a lot of moisture in the atmosphere to work with for these storms. So that's bringing some more cluttered views rather than just having a discrete cell. But it looks like that tornado warning has been canceled there for Geary and Dickinson counties there in northeast Kansas. So that's good. Coming down to the Wichita radar site here is we've got more potential for severe storms reaching really all the way down into Oklahoma. We've got this couple boundaries of, this looks like it would be an outflow boundary from some of the storms to the northeast. Perhaps it might be the cold front, but then we have a dry line here. So let's come over here. Let's actually switch over to this product. So this is, this gives me a little more, oh, it looks like we've got a new severe thunderstorm watch out. Let me get those details here real quickly. This is for scattered damaging winds, isolated gusts up to 75 miles per hour, so that can cause significant damage to homes. Isolated large hail events up to 2.5 inches in diameter, and also tornadoes are possible, but the predominant tornado threat is in the pink here, all the way down into north central Oklahoma. I had to think there for a minute. So let me look here. We'll go to the mesoanalysis. We'll look at the 2-meter dew point temperature. And yeah, it looks like we've got right here, right where we're looking at those two boundaries coming together. Put on those METARs. Make sure that we're on dew points. Yeah, definitely a dry line coming in with a little wraparound tongue of moisture right there. So it's that dry tongue that comes in. It's been filled in a little bit by some of that wraparound stuff. But if we go to the overlay, we can go to right here, and you see this is where the center of the low is right now. So we've got these lines of equal pressure at the moment, and this would be 996 millibars. And we see that we've got that rotating right around in there, bringing that moisture back around the center of the low. So we've just got a little bit of that dry air sneaking back up. And that's what we see here. That's the extra moisture that's wrapped back around the low. I'm going to take off those county names so it's a little cleaner. That moisture is coming back around the low and starting to override itself. But that's the dry line right through here. And those storms are sparking off ahead of the dry line, even as all this moisture pushes in. Taking a look down here around the Oklahoma City area, no storms just yet. Here again, we can see more of that dry line feature. So let's take a look up here in Nebraska once again, as we do have some pretty significant storms that continue to push through. A couple of tornado warnings with it as well. And so that's putting out a notice of potential tornado vortex signature. Right there is where we see some of that rotation higher in the clouds, but the lowest scan doesn't show anything significantly rotating. It's always difficult to see with some of these storms Sometimes they just don't cooperate and don't want to sit right in the nice view of the radar, so that makes it difficult to tell exactly what's going on. But the Weather Service have a little bit more tools at their disposal to see some of these things. But here around the Silver Creek area, up above the storms, we're getting winds that are in the range of 75 miles per hour. That's what these dark blues indicate. If you look over here on my scale, I have it switch from this teal to the dark blue very quickly to let us know where we've got those very fast winds. So 60 miles per hour is about the threshold of severe wind. Once we get up to 70, we start seeing more widespread severe wind. So that's why I've got that jump in the colors right there. And we're looking at that severe thunderstorm warning right now for winds gusting up to 70 miles per hour. A-Line Aquino, welcome in. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining. Zaganair, hey, I'm here. Sounds good. Thank you for that. Yes, welcome in. We're talking about the storms right now in Nebraska. We've got a couple of tornado warnings in York County, Fillmore County, and Thayer County here in eastern Nebraska. So it's a radar-indicated tornado threat for the York County one. York, the town itself, is a little less... It's more difficult to see exactly where that rotation is. I believe it would be here to the northeast of Waco is where the remaining rotation exists for this. But York, the city itself, not within the warning, or not within the threat, at least at this point. Here around the Ong area earlier is where we saw some very strong rotation. I'll need to switch the radar over to Blue Hill. I'm from Brazil. Well, welcome. Look at the velocity here. We saw an area around Angus, Nebraska here. This is getting upwards of 80 miles per hour winds. And near the Davenport area, there was a personal weather station that recorded 91 mile per hour winds. And that lines up with what we're seeing here with the orange. Like I was saying with the blue, we do the same jump around 70 miles per hour as well. So significant winds coming from these storms, and also having a bit of that rotation right on that front edge of those storms. Like right there, we've got some rotation there, southeast or southwest of Bruning. So that's why we still have these tornado warnings in effect, because looks like we've got a new tornado warning here as well in southeastern Nebraska. This is in, let's see here, Johnson County and Gage County, Nebraska. Still just radar indicated, but we see pretty strong rotation here coming up from Rockford and Philly. So the Adams area would likely be the next spot we would see the main threat for that severe thunderstorm to bring the tornado threat in. So it's moving northeast at around 25 miles per hour. Hail size is around a $0.50 size. South here we see the Wymore area, estimated 70 mile per hour winds. So very strong winds with these storms. That is the primary threat. Let's go over to this program once again. And we're going to take off some of this. We'll put on the Storm Prediction Center once again. We have the watches. I'm going to drop those off. All the warnings are still in effect as well. But for now, I just want to look at the overall picture of, that's not what I want to do, of the severe weather threat today. So the green is just where we might see general thunderstorms, a little lightning with some heavy rain. That's about it. Once we get into the dark green, that's the marginal, yellow slight, orange enhanced, red moderate. There's only one category above moderate, and that's high. It's a 5-scale system, with marginal being 1. Category 4 moderate here across southeastern Nebraska, northeast Kansas. So definitely a wide-reaching threat all the way down into northern Texas through Nebraska. This is the main threat right here in the orange. Let's go ahead and break that down a little bit here. So if we go here, this is the tornado threat for today. So we're moving into the environment of greatest tornado threat, but we've already seen a couple of tornado warnings all through. So this is just sort of a we'll just play through the last hour of warnings here. We can see it's definitely lining up right where we've had all those that severe outlook for today. We'll put on the categorical once again. Still a couple of outliers here, but definitely very strong tornado threat for today here in northeast Kansas, southeastern Nebraska. The 15%, when we see 15%, we're talking about the potential for a tornado to be within 25 miles of any point on the map. Now, of course, you increase that to 50, 100 miles, the probability of there being a tornado within that radius increases very quickly. The other thing is, this is also the tornado threat, but this is the potential of extreme tornado threat. And here we see from southeastern Nebraska through eastern Kansas into north central Oklahoma, that's where we have the extreme tornado threat. We're talking about the potential for upwards of EF2 strength tornadoes. So very strong tornadoes, which can cause widespread damage. Looks like we've cleared out the remainder of those tornado warnings, so that is good. We only have the one here most recently issued in Johnson and Gage counties in eastern Nebraska. We'll get back to that in a moment. But the hail threat, similar area of the tornado threat as well, where we're going to see the potential for strong supercells. The significant hail threat, where we could see greater than 2.5 inch in diameter hail. That's this area here. The wind threat, similar to the tornado threat, but it comes back a little bit farther into the Tri-Cities area here. The York area there near Hastings as well. This is where we saw that 90 mile per hour wind report right around here. Where is Davenport? I had it a moment ago. Davenport right here, where we had that 90 mile per hour wind threat report. That lines up where we see that the potential for extreme wind right here in this area within that moderate risk, that 45% risk area. So going to see very strong storms today. Those are going to keep pushing through. So let's take a look at that tornado warning that's still going on right now. Velocity couplet still shows pretty strong rotation. So when we look at this, the green, teals, blues, those are going towards the radar. The reds, oranges, those are going away from the radar. So when we look at that, we've got the radar site is up here in Omaha. Okay, so the radar site is to our north. We've got winds going away, so those are going south, and winds going towards, those are going north. At some point, it has to switch back around here. And we see right in this area, we've got that very tight couplet. So couplet being just like two adjacent pixels here, going from 61 miles per hour away to 26 miles per hour towards. So that's around 80, 90 mile per hour winds from of a change from one side to the other. Let me see here. Got a notification on my phone. Sorry about that. Just trying to keep up with any other questions that might be coming in. It looks like we have a new tornado warning for Seward County. So let's go to that one right now. Right here in Seward County, new tornado warning. So this was just issued moments ago. Okay, so this was sort of the handoff of the York tornado warning into the Omaha Weather Service office coverage area. So Omaha here and Hastings here, these two offices cover their own counties, and that border line is right here between York County and Seward County. So looks like they decided to continue that tornado threat. Still just radar indicated. Hail size, though, is penny size or less, so less than 3/4 of an inch in diameter. about 2 centimeters for our metric friends. We still have this tornado potential here. Like I said, the Adams area, this is moving very much in your direction. Sterling, it looks less of a threat for you in the immediate time frame. Sometimes they can take a turn, and something they can just sometimes take a turn. I want to bring up a product over here where we can look at mesofill. We'll take off all those warnings. Again, those warnings are still in effect. But I want to look at the Supercell composite parameter. So this is a supercell is where we see very large hail, potential for strong winds, and tornado threats. And we see we've got that composite all the way down into Texas, very high values here. So we've got a supercell composite of 34 here around Beatrice. That's right where we have that present tornado warning. If we look at the significant tornado parameter, again, right there in that bullseye of where we have that Storm Prediction Center moderate risk right now, right in that area, significant storm prediction or significant tornado parameter right there. And we have a new tornado warning there for Lewiston and Tecumseh. This is in Johnson and Pawnee counties. So let's switch back over to our radar program and look at that new tornado warning as well, as this is just come out. It's not even in our system yet, but let's see if we can see where that is. So I'm guessing what they're looking at is right here, this couplet area south of the Lewiston area. So if you live between Virginia and Lewiston, now's the time to seek shelter. You have very limited time to react as this is moving in very quickly. It's moving, let's see here, we get a storm speed northeast at 50 miles per hour. So it will be there imminently. Lewiston area, it is basically on top of you at this point. Vesta, Tecumseh, St. Mary, it will be heading that direction in the next 30 minutes or so. Okay, it looks like there was a funnel cloud reported there south of Lewiston, so that gives us more confirmation of that threat for a tornado outside of the Lewiston area. So definitely something to take very seriously as this pushes in right now. Taking a look at the reflectivity, and very, very heavy rain is coming in with this system. So I'm following along while organizing my study material. Well, thank you so much for following along, A-Line. I do appreciate that. Of course, we're trying to keep everyone safe with these storms coming through Nebraska today. Right here around the Temora area, just to the east of Utica is where I'm seeing the rotation for this one in the Seward area. And it looks like that's about where it is. This live is great. Congratulations on the content. Well, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I've done this on air, on TV. Yeah, Lewiston right now. That couplets is moving right over the Lewiston area, so hopefully it just remains a funnel cloud and is not on the ground at the moment. But definitely, I mean, it would have already crossed over this highway. This is State Route 4 that runs through the Lewiston area and then cuts south to the Burchard area. And then over here, we've got 60 mile per hour and 1 1/4 inch size hail for the lower part of the storm that is not within the tornado warning. The tornado is the main threat with this area for the Lewiston region. This should be crossing into Johnson County any moment now. Once again, Adams, Nebraska, another place where we're looking at that tornado threat potentially coming in imminently right now. We were just looking at that supercell composite parameter and significant tornado parameter. Right here in this area, south and southeast of Lincoln, is where we've got some of the strongest parameters. When I say parameter, it's just sort of weather wizardry, hand waviness, basically, of we take a lot of different measurements and calculate them up and make them a nice number so that we can have a scale from 0 to, say, 16 or whatever. Something that's a little more tangible, equating many different aspects that go into a tornado. So yeah, Lewiston, hopefully everyone is taking shelter. Some of these winds on the other side of this as well. These winds are in excess of 80 miles per hour. Once we're getting into these sort of purple colors here within the blue, that's very strong winds. And now it looks like the couplet has moved northeast from Lewiston. I wouldn't say it's all clear yet, Lewiston, but certainly an area where we could still see some strong winds and potential for some hail on that backside as well. Adams, you're looking at that rotation moving in very quickly. Again, the Sterling area, not really within the imminent threat of this rotation here. This has been taking more of a northerly track recently. And of course, here we see still that that report came in about 8 minutes ago of a funnel cloud around the Lewiston area. All right, latest scans coming in. The rotation is moving right over the Adams area. Heavy rain moving into Adams right now, so if there is a tornado, it would be very difficult to see in this area. Checking back over here at Seward, and we still see very weak rotation, so it's not as significant as what we've seen previously, but we're also looking at around 3,500 to 4,000 feet above the ground here. So that causes issues, makes it difficult to tell exactly where the most intense... Excuse me. Whenever I get to talking too much, my I get a little sleepy every now and then. Just get a 100 to 4,000. Oh, goodness. Onto mute site. Just wanted to check on my stream that everything was running smoothly. Looks like it, so that is good. All right, so Lewiston, I would say you are in the clear at this point, as the main part of that rotation has lifted north away from your area. Adams would be the next town that's up for this other separate tornado warning with notable rotation, a mesocyclone right there. We haven't seen a significant couplet, but again, this is 4,500 feet above the ground. Over here in Lewiston, we're looking at 6,000 feet above the ground, but this one had a reported funnel cloud, so that's within the first 1,000 feet of the atmosphere, we see those funnel clouds start to drop. So this one definitely seems to be the dominant storm at the moment. Typically, whenever we have a storm that's south of another storm, the farther south storm tends to, not always, but tends to bring up heavier, or bring in the better parameters. So Vesta, you're up next. Tecumseh, right here. This is along US 136. This is the highway right here in this sort of peach color. That's Highway 136. We're looking at winds that could be up to 90 miles per hour potentially with this. The severe thunderstorm warnings surrounding the storm don't make mention of the higher winds, but Lewiston, spotter measured a peak wind gust of 81 miles per hour here. So that's definitely significant winds, and that lines up with what we were seeing here with these strong purple colors in here. That's 70. Those are upwards of 80 in there. So that lines up with those high winds that came through. Yeah, 80 to 90 mile per hour winds on radar. And again, that's 6,000 feet up being translated to the surface by the heavy rains, by the downdrafts that are creating that potential for a funnel cloud. So Vesta, the whole stretch here along Highway 136 up to Tecumseh, You're looking at very high winds potentially coming through. Adams area, again, under that rotation. We haven't had any reports of any lowerings or any funnel clouds. Here we have a new severe thunderstorm warning for 80 mile per hour winds. So the wind threat is observed. That report there in Lewiston probably triggered this new issuance of this new severe thunderstorm warning. So we've seen a history of the storm probably causing damage. We haven't had any reports of damage, but a measured wind gust of 81 miles per hour. So that is quite fast and can cause damage. All right, up here around Staplehurst, there's been a report of a funnel cloud. Let's see when that came through. That actually just dropped, so that was just 2 minutes ago. Around the Staplehurst area, reported funnel cloud. So still want to consider this tornado warning seriously. While the radar presentation isn't phenomenal, it doesn't have to be a classic textbook view every single time. Of course, these storms are shifting east into eastern Nebraska, so the Lincoln area. These storms might just miss you to the north. Waverly might get clipped. Ashland, Gretna, Papillion, Elkhorn, all these areas here around the Omaha metro. We can just take that off really quickly. All of this right here where we don't see all the green, that's the Omaha metro, so a very densely populated area. Same thing here around the Lincoln area, very densely populated. Less so out here into the more rural area, but again, Staplehurst, a settlement there. The B area, also a settlement there, and all these farmsteads in between all of these towns. You definitely want to keep a very serious consideration of these warnings at this time, and take shelter when it applies. And when does it apply? When you're under a warning. Again, this tornado warning here, the upper levels don't look to be significantly well put together. Excuse me. But we still have the radar indicated rotation, which that can tighten up very quickly in the lower levels of the atmosphere that we just can't see with the radar here being so high. Between Vesta and Tecumseh, we've got very high winds right now. Radar returns coming up to 97 miles per hour at around 5,200 feet. So St. Mary, if you or anyone you know live around the St. Mary area here in eastern Nebraska, again, this is into Johnson County, Nebraska. Make sure that they are seeking shelter because those very high winds, 80 miles per hour or higher, can cause roof damage, can cause siding damage. Whatever it picks up along the way, it can throw that into the side of a wall, possibly into a window, pebbles and whatnot. It might not break the window, but you don't want to be sitting next to a window when we have these high winds coming in. So St. Mary, definitely take shelter. Putting as many walls between you and the outdoors is the best way to protect yourself from significantly high winds as well as tornadoes. Tornadoes are just high winds that are spinning, but straight line winds can cause widespread damage just as easily. It looks like we have a confirmed tornado here in Kansas. Let's see here. Oh goodness, I need to do some polling real quick. Bring this back. Whenever we have the pink color here, that's whenever we have a confirmed tornado observed right here along the line. So it was somewhere right around in here that it was observed. So the Ramona area looks like it's basically knocking on your doorstep. That's the area right here. Let's look at these spots. So this is 91 next to 7, 81 next to 7, 86 next to 14. So nearly 100 mile per hour gate-to-gate rotation there with that. So that's likely where we saw that tornado observed, but it's very brief. Here we still have 70 inbound next to 30 inbound. So still around 40 gate to gate shear. But again, this is around 4,000 feet above the ground. And whenever you have that strong enough rotation less than a mile up, that can translate down to the surface in the form of a tornado. So that's the only observed tornado we have right now. We've had a couple of high wind and funnel reports here in eastern Nebraska. I'm going to take off some of those storm reports just to clean it up a little bit, and the hail icons as well. You can smooth this out. It makes it a little more pretty, but it loses a bit of detail with that as well, but just gives us a better view of storm motion. So we see that we've got this line right here out of Columbus starting to sort of curl around. So I'm going to take off that smoothing now. Here around the Schuyler area, we're starting to notice a bowing effect. That's from Bellwood to Schuyler. That's usually an indication of high winds. Max wind gusts on the warning is right now only for 60 miles per hour winds. Hail threat for this storm up here around the Howells area. This is a very small storm, isolated threat for hail, but it looks like it was an observed hail threat up to 1.5 inches in diameter. Excuse me, it is a radar indicated hail threat. All right, looks like Gage County has been dropped from that warning. St. Mary, Tecumseh, those high winds are in right now, but the backside is coming through. It looks like you're right there in the middle of the highest winds, St. Mary. And Tecumseh, you're on the backside of it. Those winds should be dropping down. The difference between high straight line winds and a tornado is that a tornado is usually very quickly moving. It comes in a small area and moves out. Now, high winds, when you have 80 mile per hour winds, 60 is that threshold. So it has to ramp up to from 60 to 70 to 80 and then back down. So it's a slam and a hold. It continues to push through until the storm moves out in its entirety. So that's why we have this significant destructive tag. So the hail threat was observed with that of 1.25 inches in diameter. They have the destructive tag on this severe thunderstorm warning, and that's just one of those words that we use of like trying to convey what kind of damage this can do. Destructive being widespread roof damage, small tree, moderate tree damage. Old trees that might have rotting limbs are likely going to be experiencing damage from this. It's going to continue up to the Cook area here in Johnson County. Let's go ahead and put on some of those county names. Okay, so this is heading towards the Odo County area. Not quite there yet, but notice that this is sort of out ahead of the line of storms. So this is the main line right here. Then we have a secondary cluster of storms right through here, bowing outwards a bit. We put on the Topeka, Kansas radar. You can see sort of how we've got those lines out ahead, and then the lines right there on the dry line. And the dry line is basically a front that looks at the dew point rather than at the temperature. So still very widespread extreme winds here in Johnson County. They did trim back that warning for the tornado. Still just radar indicated at this point, but I think the primary threat for more people is here around the high winds area in northeastern Johnson County. Checking out here around the Staplehurst area, we can put back on those storm reports where we've seen that, just to get a track of where that couplet might have been that produced that report of a funnel cloud. So maybe right around in here, shifting east. So I would say it would be mainly on the front line of this storm where we could see that. We've got a new severe thunderstorm warning here as this continues to push towards the Omaha metro. Still just radar indicated threat of 60 mile per hour winds. Doesn't look like this is the strongest storm of the batch, but here we have the new severe thunderstorm warning for up to 70 mile per hour winds. This is a continuation of the initial cluster of storms that we see right here. The highest wind threat is still right here in northeastern Johnson County, right here in this area here. But we also have this cluster of high winds shifting in as well. If we look just at storm relative, that negates the motion of the storm. Sometimes it helps us see something in a more clear way, but I think the widespread dark blue of that fast, extreme wind depicts the better image here. Ooh, let's take off those county names there. All right. Once again, we've had a couple of tornado reports here into Kansas. So let's just take a look at that. Yeah, right there. So notice where we've got that couplet right here. A few scans of that, actually, a very tight rotation. And then right there is where we had the observed tornado storm report. So let's just look through here. Very rural area. A lot of just grassland, undeveloped land here. But still some people do live here. There are still some homesteads where we could have seen right through there. Yeah, that's just always a scary thing because we see a homestead right there, right under where that couplet went. Never want to see that, but hopefully they were taking shelter. And of course, it doesn't mean that it's coming right there under that. It can sidewind a little bit. It can do a little sidestep. It's not an exact thing, just looking at the radar. So you can't rely solely on the radar. But this is far more of a significant couplet. We haven't seen a couplet like this almost all day. This is a very strong rotation area here. Broad rotation, but very strong rotation as well. And you can see right here, we've got sort of that embedded hook echo in this line of storms. Very strong rotation northeast of the Harrington area. This is still just a radar indicated tornado warning, and also golf ball sized hail, so 1 3/4 inch diameter. This is a significantly large area of rotation, and definitely something I'm going to stick with for the moment. We've also got up here, got another tornado warning that has been radar indicated, but let's see here. Oops. I clicked out of it. So right in here, let's look at the correlation. So right there. It's difficult to tell. I mean, we've got this very clear hook echo there. It's difficult to tell if there's any actual debris coming in or if this is just ingested dust into the system. It doesn't necessarily have to be debris. But very strong rotation with that as well. And then down here, it looks like we might have a brief drop in correlation coefficient. Let me put on this here. So that doesn't really line up with the couplet itself. It's in the dry zone of the storm. Looks like we've just gotten yet another confirmed tornado down here in the Wichita area. So all these storms are kind of getting going right at this moment. Right here along the dry line. So let's... sometimes what happens is once the storms start firing, you just see them unzip down the dry line, and it releases all of the energy that it's been waiting to release for a while. Reading some of the information on this right now. So it still says it's radar indicated, but usually I have the pink, so it's more of a confirmed tag. Let's get the missing frames here. There we go. So that's the rotation starting up right there. I need to pull that up as well. Yeah, you can really clearly see that rotation starting up very quickly. Right there east of the Greenwich Heights area. South of Andover, Augusta. You're within the path of where this storm will likely be going within the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. So that's where we see all of that. all of these numbers here, that's a radar algorithm, which tells us where tornado vortex signature is likely showing up. You see, there are lots of them, at least on that radar view. The Latimer area, still under that tornado warning. Storm reports are still on, and we haven't gotten any confirmation of this tornado, potential tornado. This is very rapid rotation within this. So let's see here. We've got 106 mile per hour winds heading inbound. Then here we've got 55. There we've got 25 there. So weak rotation on the storm relative velocity. We see we've got 67 inbound, 42 outbound. So that's about 100 mile per hour rotational energy or rotational speed just to the southeast of the Latimer area. So that's very broad but strong rotation within this storm. And it looks like we have another confirmed tornado down here. Again, outside of the Wichita area. Oops, not that one. Let's see here. Tornado was observed near the Gossel area. 6 miles south of Hillsboro. So around this area, let's see here. These are half-mile plots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down here. Maybe around here. Maybe these are mile. These are 1 mile plots, and then they're subdivided into half-mile plots. Okay, so it would be around here. Let's put that back on. It's really difficult to tell just with it being in that relation to the radar. But notice we've got those outbound and inbound. So we've got this whole area where we can have just a quick little spin up. Imagine like you're holding a straw between your hands and spinning it. When you do that, like it's going to be a very small column of spinning air all along that. And you can still put between your hands multiple straws. So you can have multiple areas of a quick spin up of a tornado. So that makes it very difficult to forecast and very difficult to follow along. But up here in Nebraska, the Pilger area is under a tornado warning presently. This is radar indicated with 1¼ inch diameter hail potential as well. We see again, we've got those outbounds and inbounds along that line where we can have that very quick, tight rotation right along this center line here between the greens and the reds. Now this type of radar imagery looks a lot like Christmas, but definitely significant tornado threat with all these storms here as well. We've got this new severe thunderstorm warning for Nebraska City, continuing that 80-mile-per-hour wind threat. So that's the Lorton area up to Syracuse, eventually into Dunbar and Otto, the city, as well as the county, parts of the county at least. And then here from Douglas to Palmyra, we've got a tornado warning. So let's get those missing frames in. There we are. So yeah, this is the same rotation we had seen. This is a separate rotation, actually. This is right here from Virginia. We were distracted by this funnel cloud report, but there is the secondary rotation here, which has gone on to warrant another warning for the Douglas area, moving north towards the Palmyra area. And again, this is in Odo County here in Nebraska. Let me get the time on that. It's until 8:45 p.m., so another 25 minutes on that warning, specifically within a broader warning of up to 70-mile-per-hour winds. 80-mile-per-hour winds are moving more northeast, so Lorton, those winds are definitely getting higher for you, much stronger winds in that area. Dunbar, eventually those winds will be getting to your area as well. Nebraska City as well. And then we've got the strong winds and severe storms up here. So we're taking a look here at something called echo tops. These storms are peaking out around 42,000 feet up here. Here around Tecumseh here, we've got around 46,000 feet. So very tall storms. That indicates that they've got a lot of energy to push up into the atmosphere. And we've got multiple confirmed tornadoes here in Kansas. This is around the Bellevue area, northeast of Bellevue. That's where we see some of the strongest rotation yet on this storm, it looks like. And continuing that tornado warning observed with an observed tag. Let me get some of the missing frames here. One moment. It's difficult to tell exactly where you get the couplet. So when I say the couplet, or the CC drop, I should say, sometimes it gets cluttered up in the extra bits of the radar. Just what else it's trying to see makes it difficult to tell exactly what it's missing, or exactly where the actual tornado would be. Yeah, so right here south of Bellevue, clearly there's no tornado threat there, but yeah, just getting more updates on the radar. Pop it back over here. Velocity still very tight rotation. We've got 62 next to -1, and that's moving into Jackson County right now. This is still a very strong couplet here, or strong mesocyclone, I should say. And then just south of that, around the Burdick area, looks like we've got another tornado warning. Let's get a quick count of the tornado warnings. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tornado warnings. At least one is a duplicate of, yeah. So eight different circulations have prompted tornado warnings. This one right here, yet to expire. Okay, the text reads that it has been canceled from the Wamego area, observed tornado. So yeah, we presently have 8 tornado warnings ongoing between eastern Nebraska and eastern Kansas. Got to give my voice a little bit of a break every now and then. Of course, if you are watching from elsewhere in the country or in the world, I'm going to see. Oh, goodness. Let's see here. Can I? Interesting. Well, if you do. Does that work? I'm not sure if it does. I guess it doesn't work. Hey, Zagonair, if you wouldn't mind, could you type !forecast? I'm not sure if it's actually going to work, though. Oh, there it popped up for me. Never mind. Well, if you go to, let's see here, weather.gov. For some reason, Streamlabs doesn't want me to actually chat in the Streamlabs chat. It says sign in to chat, but I am signed in. That's how I'm streaming, because I'm actively signed in. This is my first time streaming on YouTube. I haven't worked with YouTube for streaming setups ever before. Looks like there was a 60 mile per hour wind gust there around Colfax County. Yeah, working with the commands within what you call it? Not certain. Yeah. Working with commands in YouTube seems like it's different than in Twitch, which is what I'm more familiar with working with over there. So let's take a look here at the Wichita Radar once again, where we've had this other tornado warning also confirmed. It says radar indicated in the text, but the pink usually indicates that it's confirmed, so. Missing a few frames there. Let's pull those out. There we go. And this whole line was warned for quite a portion of its lifetime so far. Notice all these little indicators. Again, that's just sort of a radar algorithm. They're not always accurate. But those are all pointing to tornado vortex signatures within the storm. And my eye drifts right here to south of Sedgwick, east of Bentley. That is a place of rotation I'm picking out. But notice there on velocity, there's no actual thunderstorm there. So that could be something that we see called a gust-nado, where it's right there. Oh, let's just do here. It's right there on the leading edge. Let's actually do it like this. It's on the leading edge of the line, but this is where we could see a quick little spin up. There's no actual thunderstorm. We call it a gust-nado because this is the gust front or the cold front itself that it is beginning to rotate, but there's no actual thunderstorm to sustain it. So you might see EF0 damage with that. Yeah, just interesting thing there. A little bit of a spin up, possibly right there on the Bentley area. Might have seen some dust devils getting kicked up. Yeah, A-Line, I'm not sure that my exclamation point things would work, unfortunately. I'll have to do some troubleshooting between streams here for my next stream. Back over here with the Wichita Radar. Still continuing to see tornado warnings here. This one is canceled. But it's still showing up. Yeah, goodness, there are multiple tornado warnings ongoing. And the total number of severe thunderstorm warnings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 severe thunderstorm warnings active at this moment. So many areas seeing severe weather this evening here across Kansas, Nebraska, and now into Iowa even. Pottawatomie County included in this now. Pottawatomie and Mills County for winds up to 70 miles per hour, hail up to 1.25 inches in diameter, and that is for the Omaha metro. So these storms are beginning to push north. We'll likely see them imminently. Likely be getting, it's until 9:30 p.m. Current time is 8:30 p.m. Central Time. So we'll likely see it in Omaha. Based on the timing, probably around 9:10, 9:15, crossing there across I-80 corridor. Looks like we dropped off a tornado warning up here, so that is good to see. The Pilger area no longer under tornado warning. Stanton County. But we continue with this severe thunderstorm warning of 60 mile per hour winds. We're down to 4 confirmed tornado reports, tornado warnings, 9 total tornado warnings across the whole area. Let's get down here to Topeka once again. This is a very significant rotation here. Still, very strong rotation with this. We're looking at winds, actual winds within the storm at around 1,700 feet. At nearly 100 miles per hour, next to winds that are much slower at only 10 miles per hour. And so there's about 90 mile per hour winds in rotation, but we've canceled out a couple of tornado warnings. We're down to 7 tornado warnings now, it looks like. Yeah, that radar presentation of that perfect hook echo, that is impressive. Let me pull this over here. I just want to get a quick screenshot of this. That's just a wild presentation there. Let's see here. What was this? This was just 10 minutes ago. That's around the Wichita. Let me go back down to Wichita. The ICT. Oh, right there. Wow. That is where we see the tornado right there. So notice how this is completely separated. We've basically seen the tornadic region completely detached from the lower levels of the storm, but within the upper levels of the storm is where it's actually reconnecting. So I want to see if I can get that data in the upper levels of the storm where it does reconnect. All right, so right there, it's a completely detached updraft. That is wild to see. Right there where we've got that rotation. Incredible. So that tornado report must have been from, spotter was in Augusta, looking west of the tornado, had just crossed Highway 400 to the north. So it must be just a little bit misplaced there, because that is definitely where the tornado would have been going through. Yeah, you can see it very clearly here on the velocity couplet as it tightens up, crosses over I-35 here. Very, very tight rotation. So that's the orange, 79, 80 miles per hour, 30 miles per hour right there. So that's 110 mile per hour rotation crossing over. Let's look at the debris signature here because that might actually show us a little bit more detail. Yeah, it's very difficult. There might just not be anything really to pick up here. Since there's some trees, there are some homesteads there. That does bring me a bit of concern that there might have been a tornado that went through maybe this neighborhood here, maybe these areas of homesteads. But we just can't see it really on the debris tracker here on the right-hand side of the screen. That's just wild to see that really quick spin up of that tornado, and then it sort of gusts out a little bit. My goodness. We're down to 2 confirmed tornadoes, or observed tornado warnings. We still have this one here in Nebraska. Radar indicated rotation. Warning is still in effect. We're starting to see that high wind coming into, let's see here, which county is this now? Coming into Cass County. Notice how it has weakened, and at least the spread. It's no longer as widespread as we saw down here around the Tecumseh area, through the Lorton area, Odo, and now it's starting to weaken a little bit. So that is good news. This area around the Palmyra area of rotation, right there. That's where we're looking at the chance for a tornado, and it's sort of embedded. That's the thing. We've got sort of this mesovortex. Meso just being the scale of around a county, a few miles to a few dozen miles. We see this rotation starting to take shape. Let's actually add some smoothing into it so it looks a little nicer for us. But you notice we've got that rotation right in there. That can help enhance a tornado if it is to form right in that region. My gracious, look at all these severe wind reports we had through this area. We haven't had many reports come through, but thunderstorm wind damage, power outages in Tecumseh. So that's where we saw that area of very high winds coming through. 60 mile per hour winds estimated from the Nemaha County emergency managers there. Again, there's that funnel cloud up there. And we sort of have those storms leading the line as well that are moving into northwestern Iowa there. Notice how this one sort of came right along the line, and as it joined the line, it sort of perhaps enhanced some of the rotation with that. Yeah, right as it joined the line, there's an area of enhanced rotation right in here. Yeah, right there. Right as it joined. So you can get some like weird interactions between storms as they come together. Taking a look down here at Wichita once again. We've got that dry line starting to come through. That's where that little gustnado came through. Quick tornado spin up right there, crossing I-35. Goodness gracious. And now we have a new tornado warning out here into Greenwood County, Kansas, for radar indicated rotation as it's pushing into the Reese, Eureka area. Nothing very clear for specific tornadic indication, but this rotation here around 4,000 feet, that mid-level rotation is enough to condense it down into a tornado maybe at the surface. Oh, excuse me. All right. I'm going to actually grab my face and shrink it down just a little bit. As I'm looking here over at my face cam, I feel like it could be just a hair smaller. That's a little better. That way I'm not covering up too much of the radar that we're looking at. Looks like we just had a warning canceled there in Chase County. Severe thunderstorm warning. Let's switch over to GR Earth. Let's take a look at that tornado parameters. We've seen a bit of change recently. So as it updates sort of interspersed with, let's put on radar as well. As the radar itself can show us where that energy is being used by those storms. So that's the significant tornado parameter. Supercell composite parameter here still shows that it's shifting east. So we're using some of that energy there around the Manhattan area. Again, that's where we're seeing just an incredibly tight rotation there south of Alta Vista. I want to take another look at that. So let's switch back over to level 3 radar. Still right around that Wichita radar. Still very strong rotation within this storm here. So it's not quite lined up with so I'm wondering if we're ever going to get any confirmation out of this one, because it's still a very strong area of rotation. We've seen it tracking for quite a distance. I'm going to fill in some of the gaps here. There we go. We see just this area of rotation is just blown up right there on the front line of the storms. And this is what's called an embedded supercell. So we've got just a line of storms, and then right here, this has taken on, instead of the linear nature of the rest of it, it's taken on a supercellular structure where you have that hook echo. You've got the heavy precipitation shield right sort of up and around from that hook. So we've got the hail potential in there. If we look at that, we've got the greatest hail threat right in there. Just an absolutely incredible radar presentation for it to be going through and still not have any confirmation of a tornado. But if you are in the Alta Vista area, you're likely going to be seeing some heavy hail along with some heavy rain coming through shortly. Looking at hail 1.5 inches in diameter with that, along as with winds up to 70 miles per hour, even outside of this area, we could still see some strong 70-mile-per-hour winds here as well. But so far, let's fill in some of the gaps in the radar here. So far, there's no debris ball signature. We're down to 5 tornado warnings now, so that is good. We're seeing that threat diminish. Yeah, just quite an impressive signature there. Andover, Kansas. I just found on Twitter a video of a tornado that is just right outside of Wichita. Incredible structure to it. And that's the one we were looking at down here. Where we had that confirmation. So that's Andover right here. This is where we saw that, this one right here. This is where we saw that separated, the separated updraft from the storm. And just watching this video, I'll put a link to it here in chat, in fact. As open up the web browser here. This is the link to an incredible tweeted video. My goodness. I'm gonna send that to Weather Nation. I hope that they have requested that, because that is just insane. My goodness. So yeah, if you check out that that tweet, I don't feel comfortable trying to share it on live stream, because usually chasers require permission, or request it at least, and that's something that he's very busy doing right now, and I'm not going to worry with distracting them from continuing their chase. Yeah, my goodness. So that was a storm that was down here. That's that confirmed tornado report there. But I'm just shocked that we have yet to see anything here around this storm. It looks like the velocity couplet, or the mesocyclone, that's the rotational part of the storm, it looks like it's weakening. We're down to 4 tornado warnings now, only 1 confirmed tornado warning. And all the tornado warnings are in Kansas now. So let's clean up some of these. We'll take off those storm reports. But as far as severe thunderstorm warnings, some of them overlap, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13. So 13 total severe thunderstorm warnings. That's down from the 18 we had earlier. Yeah. Just trying to clean up some of the clutter here. Doesn't look like that's coming through. Don't see any more strong velocity couplets like we had previously seen there around Andover. Just wild, insane strength with that tornado. Those are those storms that chasers dream of catching one day in their life. I've not been on many tornado chases, nor have I seen one in the daytime, but I caught one at night. I did see one at night one time. That was an interesting storm chase. Just kept having to go farther and farther south, wound up in the middle of Kansas, but it was still a good spot. Let's see here. Where was it? It was Belpre, right through here. It's right in this area. And I started my chase up here in Hastings, move all the way down to here, and I had to drive all the way back at night. And it was a long drive, but it was a fun chase. Saw some good structure. Very high winds, though, coming into from the south. Eureka area, a couple spots with some moderate rotation there. Make sure that we don't have any gaps there in the radar. Looks like we've got a little bit of that hook shape here. Nothing significantly stands out, but definitely something there. So let's check out Omaha once again. So we've got some heavy rain on the backside of the system. But this is the good, long-lasting soaking rain that a lot of Nebraska really needs right now. Topeka has a new severe thunderstorm warning, so let's check that out. We've got 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1 1/4 inch diameter hail. Papillion, you're starting to see some of that heavy rain approaching your area. You could see up to 1.5 inch diameter hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds with this coming in. If we just take a look at some of those winds, it looks like it's definitely dropped in intensity from where it used to be. So right through there, up to the Plattsmouth areas where we see that area that we had the significant winds coming through. Those have sort of dropped off, fortunately, and now we're only looking around 50 to 60 mile per hour winds maxing out through here. But it could still intensify back up to some more significant winds with that as it approaches the Omaha area. Excuse me. Do want to check back out the storms to the south here and see, put on those storm reports. It looks like El Dorado has reported another tornado warning, tornado recently. So let's take a look at that report. Tornado just southwest of town, the report says. So it'll be down in this area. That must be this area of rotation. So looks like we continue with this storm. This is the one that had that Andover tornado that I linked in chat here. If you're just joining us and need that link again, I can throw it back in chat as well. But we saw an incredible tornado from south of Andover, crossing I-35, and eventually that pocket of air just sort of dissipated. But the system here, the storm itself, still strong, still producing a chance for a tornado. Southwest of town is what the report here says. Right in there. All right, so tornado observed, still on the tag of that new tornado warning. And Eureka still under that tornado warning as well, but a little less looks like there was some flash flooding north of the Beatrice area. That's in Pickerel. We've got to keep up with multiple things when we're looking at storms like this because it's sometimes difficult to keep track of all of those storms. Currently, we've got 4 storms that are warned with the tornado, 5 tornado warnings because one is sort of duplicated there around the El Dorado area. We've got those 2 warnings here for the one single storm, so that's why I'm saying we basically have 4 tornado warnings. Looks like we've got another severe thunderstorm warning on the edge of this for your baseline severe threats of 1-inch hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. And this is going to continue for the next several hours. I unfortunately can't keep up with it, but for any of my Nebraska viewers, it is winding down for my Nebraska viewers, so that is some good news for us there. We're looking at that local radar now. Let's get some more recent data in here. We had lots and lots of severe thunderstorm reports, weather reports around that area. So Tri-Cities east and southeast, Fillmore County down to Thayer County, Clay, Knuckles County, many reports here of very strong winds and some large hail reports as well with those storms. So I'm glad to say that things are winding down for the Tri-Cities. Looks like all the rain has mostly wrapped up for you. So yeah, that is some good news. And again, this is some much needed rain. A lot of farmers have just finished planting. Some might still be planting at this point, but this is something that we really need the water because we had a very dry winter. That's the other thing. It was a very dry winter for Nebraska. Let's actually take a look at the satellite from the day. So I'll need to switch that over. Let's see here. There we go. All right, so we'll pop over here. This is just a satellite loop from the day of all of these storms just firing up here across Kansas. Let's do true color here. You can see we had all that sunrise. Oh my goodness, look right there. Into southern Colorado, southeastern Colorado. We'll do a localized sector right there. Those storms, just very weak storms there, it looks like. It's just enough. It was this storm right here. Caused a gust front. It started to progress to the southeast. And it's just enough to pick up all of that dust. And notice how it sort of curls around itself. That's really, really cool. And then very, very intense dust storms there, it looks like. Let's find another one. Yeah, as it's moving into Texas. Oh my goodness, look at that dust. It's just wild. And this is all wildfire smoke here coming out of northern New Mexico. Oh my goodness. Those are those very large fires that have been burning for the past several days. This is why we had the I don't believe I addressed it much, but there was a critical and an extreme fire threat. So let's look here. Storm Prediction Center on their fire page where we had this extreme critical risk right there in southeastern Colorado into western Kansas, panhandle of Oklahoma, northeastern New Mexico. Got to go through all those state names in my head. Incredibly high chance for fire today. So if we come back over here, And that's within mostly the critical risk, but still areas where we saw all that dust coming through. That's just a testament to how windy and how dry it is, and why we had that extremely critical risk there. Looks like there was another fire right here that sparked up the southern end of the Front Range of Colorado. Just all that dust getting kicked up by those winds. Just doing a quick little satellite tour before we wrap up stream here. Looks like there was another fire in northern Oklahoma, which brought some smoke into the area. And you can see right here at the end of the satellite loop, right before sunset, how tall these storms are, how much they're gathering as shadows, or casting the shadows onto the anvils downstream, and just how chaotic and bubbly it is. You can see the horizontal convective rolls. Whenever you get these cloud streets here, that's a good indication of the rotation within the atmosphere trying to bubble up and produce some of those thunderstorms. And let's lastly head up to Nebraska, where we've just seen those storms really blast off. Let's slide over here. Very strong storms that just sparked off right there in northeastern Kansas and moved on to the northwest. So let's look at long wave infrared. Here we are. This tells us the cloud temperature, which gives us a concept of the cloud height. The darker red, the colder those temperatures are, and the higher those clouds are. So it really just blew up over the last several hours today. Let's go sub-regional here. Right over Kansas and Nebraska. Quick little refresh of the day, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up stream. I wanted to cover Nebraska. There are still storms going on in Kansas. I unfortunately don't have time to continue with it this evening. But I feel like this was a good, successful run of trying out streaming on YouTube. So I do appreciate those who were participating, who jumped in and saw, even if they were just lurkers. Always appreciate that as well. We'll do one more check of the radar here, where we have some of those storms going on. Let's do this one here. So continuing with a few tornado warnings. This one's still here around the El Dorado area. El Dorado. Not exactly sure how the locals pronounce it there. Active tornado warning with looks like a couple around there. Another tornado warning there north of Eureka, Kansas. Here around the Topeka radar site is where we've seen that very impressive hook echo that has sort of fallen apart off towards the St. Joseph area. Another tornado warning here, also radar indicated, but hail potential 1 1/4 inch diameter. Moving up to the Omaha area, where we've got a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the next little while here until 9:30. That's going to be for 70 mile per hour winds and 1 1/4 inch hail. So once again, I appreciate everyone who is here. I'm going to go ahead and end stream. YouTube doesn't have a raid function, so we'll just call it there. Everyone stay safe tonight. Be sure you pay attention to your local meteorologists as well on air, on the weather service. You can follow the weather service social medias that would usually have postings of those warnings and the warning information. and of course your local meteorologists for local TV. You always want to count on that. Look for someone who's a meteorologist, not just someone who's just on YouTube like me. But I always look for credentials and look for someone